A powerful storm system is set to impact the United States as we go into this weekend and next week, and this is going to bring a ton of different problems, including a significant risk of severe weather, which includes damaging winds, large hail, and strong tornadoes. Additionally, a big warm-up is coming to much of the country, which will bring some of the warmest weather that we've seen all year long. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And we've had some big storms here over the last 48 hours, a bunch of different severe weather events that have been occurring anywhere from Nebraska all the way back through Texas, where we've seen some damaging winds, even upwards of 4-inch sized hail happened yesterday just outside of Lubbock and Amarillo. And what's interesting about all of this is that this is not coming from a large scale low pressure system. It's coming from a bunch of different mesoscale features, but we are anticipating that severe weather will continue here across the Great Plains for the foreseeable future as we continue to see these different mesoscale features occur. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet for most of the country. The East Coast has high pressure dominating, so we're not really expecting much severe weather here over the next few days. And then the West Coast also looking fairly dry right now. Now let's talk more about the severe weather potential for the next several days, and we'll begin with today, which is really not going to be the biggest day of the next 7 days, but we do have another slight risk of severe weather from Colorado back into Texas, where our dry line will continue to spark some severe weather, including some damaging winds, large hail, and perhaps even an isolated tornado risk. Today's tornado risk mainly in the Texas Panhandle, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and also in southwestern Kansas. There's a very low chance that we go live today, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we end up going live later today. By Friday, our risk of severe weather is much lower. It's a small little marginal threat for Oklahoma and Texas, where additional damaging winds and hail will be a possibility. By Saturday, we continue to deal with these tiny little marginal threats of severe weather. This one's centered in New Mexico and Texas. And then eventually by Sunday, we have a lot of uncertainty of exactly what's going to happen, but we could see some severe weather back over in the Great Plains depending on if the cap is overcome. But Monday appears to be way more concerning when it comes to our threat of severe weather. As of right now, Monday has a lot of model discrepancy, but even then, the ingredients in the environment on Monday look to be very favorable for at least some sort of severe weather outbreak. We could easily have a bunch of different tornadoes as well here with our setup, but right now the slight risk of severe weather goes from Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle back through Wisconsin and Minnesota, and our enhanced risk of severe weather has already been issued for almost the entire state of Iowa, southern Minnesota, western Wisconsin, northwestern Missouri, and just outside of Kansas City. So Monday's definitely a day that we need to all be paying attention to very closely, and it looks undoubtedly like we'll be live on Monday, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified with our latest live streams. By Tuesday, we have another risk of severe weather. This one moves further to the east, going towards Ohio, Michigan, and all the way back through the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where additional damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes will be possible. So take the proper precautions and spread the word that there is some significant severe weather on the horizon for millions across the United States. So let's talk more about the upcoming weather pattern here across the United States, and also this big storm that is coming early next week. Looking at our jet stream over the next few days, right now we have a very zonal jet stream for most of the country, which has kept basically big severe weather events from avoiding most of the country. The only thing that we've been seeing once again is mesoscale events with a dry line, really nothing too organized, just some big hail and windstorms, and then occasionally an isolated brief tornado. Really haven't seen a whole lot though over the last few days, but as we go into this weekend, things are going to start to change. We are going to get a more meridional jet stream, which means more curvature throughout our winds aloft, and this is going to lead to one big low pressure system back over in California by Saturday. And as we go into Saturday and into Sunday, this thing is going to start to move towards the Rockies, and depending on the timing of this, we could end up seeing at least a little low-end severe weather threat back over in the Central Plains as we go into Sunday, which could lead to all hazards of severe weather, but it's very conditional depending on the timing of this low pressure system. But by Monday, this trough will eject over the Rockies, and we are expecting a much more organized risk of severe weather to take place as we go into Monday for areas like Iowa and the Midwest, all the way back through the Central Plains, where strong southwesterly flow will dominate here in our jet stream. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday, the storm system continues to move east. It will not be nearly as organized, but we'll continue to watch for at least some damaging winds and hail and perhaps a few tornadoes. And then by Wednesday into Thursday, things do become a lot more uncertain. The GFS model does hint that a low pressure system could form back over in the southern plains, which could continue our risk of severe weather into Wednesday and Thursday for the southern plains and the Gulf Coast. And then by Friday into Saturday, look at this. things have become actually very quiet. Our jet stream is lifted very far off to the north, and also our winds down near the Gulf Coast are not looking overly strong, not really anything organized. And then by the time we go into the early part of May, so beyond about Monday or Tuesday of next week, we could actually have a huge ridge build as we go into the following week, which could lead to a big break in terms of severe weather. We'll have to wait and see on this since this is still about 2 weeks from now, but this definitely looks a lot more likely than before that we'll be talking about at least some sort of dry period when it comes to significant severe weather events, which would be very good news. Now let's break this down in more simplistic terms with our future radar over the next several days, beginning with what's happening today and tomorrow, which we'll go more in detail about today's event in just a moment. But by the time we go into late tonight and tomorrow, showers and thunderstorms will meander back over into the Ohio Valley and back through the Northeast. This is going to be a very weak low pressure system, not really forecasted to bring any level of significant severe weather to the East Coast, but there could be some scattered showers and strong thunderstorms at times as we go into tomorrow, anywhere from about Mississippi and Alabama back into New York. Eventually, by the time we go into Saturday, showers and storms will continue back over in the Northeast, and a little bit of severe weather will try to fit its way in back over in Texas and Oklahoma, while surface high pressure system begins to build back over in the Midwest. Once we go into Sunday, this is when our low pressure system is moving over the Rockies, and we will have at least some level of a conditional risk of severe weather on Sunday in the Central Plains. Notice how our isobars are pretty close together. That means we're going to have some pretty strong winds on Sunday across the Great Plains, where we could definitely have some wind gusts upwards of 40 to 55 miles per hour. By Monday morning, this low pressure system is moving to the northeast. Warm air and moist air will be coming out of the Gulf, and we should have a lifting warm front, which should lead to the potential of some significant severe weather on Monday in the Midwest. And then on the northern side of this low pressure system, we'll be dealing with some scattered showers and snow showers back over in the Rockies. By Monday afternoon and evening, that is when severe weather will really start to ramp up. It's a pretty large area. I anticipate large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes to be possible with our southern mode back over in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. And then also the same thing goes on the northern mode. The northern mode right now is slightly more conditional, which basically means the severity of these storms will be more dependent on our storm mode on Monday, but nonetheless, there should be some at least scattered to numerous damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes. And then by the time we go into early Tuesday morning, this low pressure system and our storms will be weakening a little bit, but by the time we go into Tuesday afternoon and evening, we do expect at least some scattered severe weather to return from Texas all the way back through Ohio, with damaging winds, hail, and a couple of tornadoes being possible. Right now, it's too early to really highlight where our greatest tornado threat would be, but I do think our best chance would be from about North Texas back into southern Illinois and across parts of northern Arkansas. And then by the middle and end of next week, things do become a lot more uncertain, but I do think the southern plains will continue to stay active. We should have another low pressure system developing with scattered to numerous severe weather on Wednesday and Thursday, before eventually by next weekend, things are likely going to become a lot quieter, especially if we have a large high pressure system building in the Great Plains, which could actually become our death ridge, which we'll talk more about in a future video. But this basically means warm and dry air will come back for much of the country, which could easily build lots of record-breaking high temperatures across the country. And for the timing today, in terms of our severe weather threat, scattered showers and thunderstorms will continue throughout the morning and afternoon, before eventually some discrete supercells form back over in West Texas right around 5 to 7 o'clock, with very large hail, damaging winds, and an isolated tornado being possible. If we get any couple tornado warnings or anything like that over here in Texas or Oklahoma or Kansas, there's a chance that we go live, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. By around about 9-10 o'clock, these storms will be mainly hail and wind producers, and they will eventually fall apart just after sunset. And then by the time we go into Friday morning, things are quieting down. And then on Friday, a few more storms will fire up in the Texas Panhandle. They might issue a slight risk of severe weather for hail back over in the Texas Panhandle and the Oklahoma Panhandle, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Definitely looks like another big hail day for those in the Panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. And then back over in the Central Plains, a few storms will fire off later this afternoon, but not really much for Kansas. It'll be mainly in the Texas Panhandle, maybe one storm trying to fire back over in Colorado with hail, wind, and a low tornado risk. And then eventually by Friday, there will be another resparking of showers and thunderstorms, but primarily just outside of Kansas, mainly back over in Colorado. And these will be relatively short-lived supercells, only lasting for about 3 to 5 hours, and then they'll fizzle out by around about 9, 10, 11 o'clock on Friday. And if you want any winter weather or cold weather in general, it's going to be very hard to find over the next couple of weeks. The above average temperature trend is going to continue for essentially the entire country, so buckle up anytime from Tuesday of next week all the way through Saturday. We are forecasting at least above average temperatures across the entire East Coast into the Gulf Coast. Same thing in the Pacific Northwest, so get ready. Jackets can be put away. You can get your t-shirt and shorts out for most of the country. It is going to be a warm stretch of weather for the next couple of weeks without any sort of big cold fronts on the horizon. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We'll have daily updates talking all about our upcoming severe weather with new information every single day, so make sure to stay tuned and tune in. Our videos should be back to being uploaded around 6 a.m. Central Time. Once again, we've kind of been doing them around 7 for the most part recently, so they should be a little bit earlier here in the near future, so definitely make sure you're looking out for that. And we'll see you guys all again in the next video or live stream if we go live later today.